Hi guys, welcome back to Clockwork and Noodles. Welcome back to another Trauma Monday because the trauma has not stopped this week. We still have 2 episodes left of the first season of To Your Eternity. This is the breakdown for episode 18. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed. My recent video has just gone up, which is the midway review. Make sure you check that out. I'm giving you guys my top 3 OPs, EDs, and anime in particular. Of course, that is going to change because the season is throwing up a lot of late surprises. So there's a few new animes have started halfway through the season, which have my interest. I'm watching you guys. And of course, a lot of animes are starting to get into their second half now. So a lot more is going on. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the standing changes. There is, of course, a Discord channel too. This allows you to have notifications sent to your phone whenever anything goes up. Before we get going, guys, because it's something I have noticed, if you are leaving a comment and you throw in a lot of capitals, YouTube tends to block them. And we've noticed this week that a few fans haven't been able to get comments on the channel. And I'm not being able to read them. I literally get a notification saying people have commented, but I don't get to see the comments. The video is obviously blank. I would say if you want to just tone down the caps locks, guys, especially with this video in particular, I know it's so emotional. It drives you to get very emotional, want to hit that caps. Try and write in lowercase if you can, because I'm theorizing that YouTube just associates lots of capital letters as either abuse or something. Perhaps, even though it's letting the negative stuff go through. Let's just try it out. So if you want to leave a comment, try and avoid putting in a lot of capital letters. Which sucks because I want to talk to you guys. Let's see if we can get around whatever YouTube is doing right now. So I don't have too many notes this week, but we're going to kick into it because there's a lot of meta things that I ended up thinking about this week instead. I was hugely impressed that Tonari was able to actually hear where Fushi was holed in the first place. So it was very, very convenient that she was able to actually get his location. And I'm quite happy that the plot jumped ahead. We just jumped ahead to the important part, which is getting Fushi out of the hole. Well, he already was out of the hole, which is quite clever, which I wasn't quite expecting. But I do have to think that that hole was really, really long. There's no way that the rope that she had with her was enough. But Fushi has escaped because he was bored, and that is probably my reason as well. If I'm able to get out of something because I'm bored, or if someone puts me in a cage and there's a way out, I'm probably going to take it. So I'm in that thinking as well. Might have been an anime sin at this point where Fushi and Tonari are having a nice conversation on top of the building where we have stationed guards. It is a miracle that the station guards do not hear their conversation echoing around that chamber. Let's talk about a big question that Tonari decides to throw up this week is, why does the world need to be preserved in the first place? So this is something we've had from episode 1. The orb's purpose is to preserve the world that he's been cast into. But why? Why would you need to preserve something? Is it at risk? So is it possible that the world is about to be destroyed by a foe, which could be the fake boobs? We definitely see those guys rampaging this week in a very different manner. Perhaps humanity is at risk from these guys. And we also get the big question, is the narrator a god? Or a demon, a god or a demon, because they're apparently on the same level in this sense. Our narrator is able to create things from nothing, which then puts him in the line of what Tonari says is a god, so he would technically count in that sense. But she does state that he must be quite a thoughtful god because he's trying to preserve the world. He's actually put Fushi here as a preservative. And that, of course, led me to think of a new question is, what is the narrator's relationship with the world itself? If indeed he is trying to save the world, he must have a purpose for wanting to save it, or he must at least have a relation to it. So if he is a god, did he create the world? Is that his thing? Is he the ultimate god? Because he does say that his time is ticking. We know that he's not going to live forever either. So lots of little questions starting to think and come to my brain this time. But we do as well with this little section, we also get a quick insight into the belief system that at least Tonari believes, and therefore infer that a lot of people on the island at least believe in the same way. They believe that God made everything, he made it from nothing. And there are demons. These demons are the opposition to God. This belief system is very similar to ours or some religions in our world. Quite interesting that they do that to make it a bit more relatable so we can understand the system a little bit better. This is a very good sequence that allows us to glean interesting information just by looking a little bit indirectly at it, because when we talk about the demons that she starts to mention, and oddly enough, that's where Fushi feels that his parent is a demon. Tonari also believes that her dad was also a demon, very similar to a demon. We actually finally get the confirmation that he did indeed kill her mum. A turn of events that I was hoping wouldn't be the case, but it is the case. And that's where she says that demons are people who take pleasure in killing people, which is what obviously she saw her dad. She doesn't understand her dad, and we don't have, sadly, him here. He's now gone, so we can't physically ask him. A nice little moment where Tonari is able to tell us about the religions and as well how she views her dad, and the fact that that story has come to an end, that we do know he did indeed kill her. Now, Fushi sadly thinks that his parent is a demon. I'm not quite sure I agree. It does allow Fushi to state that even if their parents are demons, it won't affect them. They will live how they want to live. So in this sense, he's trying to tell us that even if the parent is a demon, you shouldn't let that colour your path. You should pick your own path and be you. Fushi's thank you is absolutely heartfelt. It's been a while since we've actually spoken about how far Fushi has come conversation-wise as a character, and he has come quite far. He's able to, from the bottom of his heart, thank her for coming to rescue him. It is a very nice quiet moment before everything kicks off and the tears start again, but it is a very important sequence that does tell us a lot. We now get a dream sequence. This could be a possible foreshadow. So I'm on the bench that I think Tonari will die. A lot of you guys seem to be on the bench that she won't die. If you've read the anime and you know, don't say anything because it makes these things a lot more interesting. Now, Tonari's dream could go either way. This is the problem. Now, if we read it from the it's a foreshadowing way, Tonari returning to a house where her dead mother is and then saying, hey, look, I've written a book, hinting that she's going to die, and then unite with her dead parents, because her dad is also there as well, and tell her story. Her book is her life story, and therefore her saying, this is my new story, must infer that there might be an end to it, or it's at least at a point where it has come to an end for her to show them. Or, if we want to look at it in the way that she is going to live, this could also be used to show that she has now moved on. Her previous goal in life was to show her parents her new book, a book of her writing. This could be a sequence, because it's also followed by a new dream, of her getting a new goal and moving on from the past. So therefore, I'm going to give you both sides of the argument there, and you can pick up which you believe is more appropriate. Now, the narrator, as promised, tells Fushi that the knockers or fake boobs are here. He promised to tell Fushi that they were there, and he does, and we even see him advising him and trying to help out a little bit. This is also the first fight sequence where the narrator actually has a bit more of a role than just sitting and watching and appearing at the end. But we do get a chance to quickly see the difference between Tonari and Fushi. Tonari is fine. She just wants to get off the island. She's absolutely happy to leave it to God. Let God decide who should be there and who needs to be punished, and, let's just get off the island, it's fine. But Fushi simply can't walk away. He's a different character completely. He struggles to grasp the idea of killing for the sake of killing. And the narrator gifting him a sword, which is really, really cool because we haven't really seen him doing anything like this before. But he did state back in the past, a few arcs ago, that he would help him when it benefited his growth. If he believed something would benefit the growth of Fushi, he would help. So he has given him a sword because he believes that him having it and him having the methods at this point to defend himself and fight with a sword is going to help him benefit himself. Obviously, Fushi doesn't quite take this opportunity, but there is a gap here. So obviously, if Fushi had actually done it, he would have apparently grown as a person. Now, it seems that the fake boobs have changed their tactics, which makes them a lot more scary and a lot more of a threat. We have zombies on our hands. We have literally got an army of the dead as the mountain of plentiful corpses, because there's so many corpses now floating around. It's now zombie land. It has literally turned into zombie land. We see Fushi as well receiving some instructions by a narrator telling him to aim higher to help him out, to help him in his fight. It's just a new side. We haven't really seen narrator instructing him before, taking a bit more of a vocal role. I'm happy it's there because I'm a big fan of him, obviously, but at the same time, it's a level up in a sense. It's also a level up that he's able to communicate to one another. Fushi's able to ask him questions now, and narrator's happy to actually oblige him. Tonari could not force herself to leave. I knew this would happen. She definitely likes Fushi. I think she likes him, and she's come back to try and help him. But we get the biggest shock and the biggest turn of events. The rest of the friends have also come back, which is probably their biggest mistake because it's all about to go horrifically wrong now as we go into the trauma section of the week. But before this, we do get to see Fushi taking on a bit more of a vocal role himself, advising the new group about the knockers and how to combat them and what to be careful of. Is the first time we see Fushi taking a bit of a leadership role, which is quite nice. Now, we have seen this before with poor Gugu, and this might give us a bit of clarity on what actually happened with Gugu when he died in that pit. One of our group members being pricked and pierced by one of the roots, and this obviously showing you how terrifying they are. They literally need to get hold of your leg and they can be in your body like this. They take over your body and that's it, dead, no more. It's a very horrific death. Obviously it's more horrific to the people around who don't quite know what's going on and haven't quite figured out that the roots on her body and the veins popping is a very bad thing and they should definitely stay away. But Tonari's new dream looking less and less likely as we start to lose members of our group. The narrator aiding, telling Fushi to run 6 minutes, you'll be safe for free, showing us that he might have a bit of foresight where he's able to see movements before they happen. So he knows that, you've got 9 minutes and then you're going to be attacked. It shows us more of the powers that the narrator himself has. Poor Fushi is absolutely powerless when we end up trying to save Mia's life because he's unable to heal. He might be immortal, but at this point, he really can't save people, especially in this state here where she is impaled on a weapon. And at this point, the only way to really save her is by having medics on site, being able to stop the bleeding and then removing it very carefully. It didn't look very good for Mia. There was no way of really saving her, and Fushi is going to beat himself up for this, but he isn't quite in that point yet where he would understand that there wasn't really much he could do at this point. The music at this point is absolutely gorgeous. We shift into a very beautiful string moment. Up until this point, we've had some really nice flutes. It's felt very exotic during the fight. Really nice music this week. The shift to the strings now because it's getting emotional. And then we have the music stop entirely. And I've often mentioned it before that the lack of music, the power of silence is often underrated when it comes to movies. Some movies are just very, very loud. In movies where they suddenly do incorporate silence, the impact is more. We have suddenly got silence for the first time this episode for this death sequence. And this silence allows us to actually appreciate the voice acting even more because we have some stellar voice acting this week as we have them saying goodbyes, saying their emotional goodbyes and understanding that I can't blame somebody because it wasn't them, it's not that person's fault. It's a very, very touching sequence as well. It's a very sad moment they're very, very young. You've got to bear in mind, these are very young children who are having to make some very mature decisions right now. Fushi is unable to kill someone because he just can't kill a friend because they still look the way that they do. And sadly, more death ends up occurring. But a bit of quick thinking by Ulroy, who is going to be our unsung hero of this week, actually ends up saving Fushi. But Ulroy ends up being the hero because he sacrifices himself. Slice off his own arm, which is very much kudos to him, bearing in mind he's still a child. And he's able to actually give us the break to allow Fushi to fight on. At this point, we have the cello and the bass. The low end comes in, it kicks in. We've got some very nice low rumbling on the strings, showing us the danger, the sorrow. I always think that cello is one of the best ways of showing a very sad, emotional, rich sequence because I find cellos are very expressive. I love cellos. I think they are fantastic at carrying it. And it's nice to see that this end sequence ends up being orchestrated by some. So we've had a very impactful episode where we've learned a lot and we've also started losing our characters. We only have 2 episodes to go until this season is done. I haven't heard anything about a second season just yet. I really hope we do get one because I don't think the story's going to be over in 2 episodes' time. So there's definitely a lot more material out there that they can definitely draw upon. But it's just going to be a matter of how are we going to end? Is this anime going to be trauma throughout and end on a very sad note? Or are we going to have a sparkle of hope? Are we going to end on a sparkle of hope, which would be quite nice? It would be also a change in the pace of the anime itself. I am very excited to see where it goes. Also, congratulations to all of us. We have survived the trauma anime. There are 2 episodes left, which means we will end partway through the season. We're not going to quite make the finishing point, ending about 4 episodes shy of the end of the season. Channel's going to be a little bit quiet for a bit, but there are some different animes airing right now which I might pick up on and maybe do the odd breakdown review just of a different anime I have been watching or why you should be watching, because there's a few animes that I know people aren't watching and I haven't been breaking them down, but I might do a why you should watch blah blah blah. We'll see how I go, so make sure you guys are obviously subscribed for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you're not too emotionally shattered, because it's just I get the feeling it's gonna get worse from here, so we've got to sober up for a week of our trauma and then get ready back to face it again next week. Have a good day, guys. Make sure you are staying safe. Bye bye.